Good morning and welcome to the Unit 1 study guide for number sense. Today we are going to go through each problem step by step. As always, let's start by getting our name, date, and class period at the top. I'm DJ Tay. And today's date is the 8th. Might not be when you get to see this, but that's today's date. And let's see, which class am I going to represent? I'm going to give a shout out to my 7th period today. Let's jump right in. Number 1, a bookshelf in Mr. Cannon's class is 70 inches long. How many 4-inch binders can he fit on the bookshelf? So thinking about this, I know that I need to divide that 70 inches up by the 4-inch binders to see how many I can fit. All right, how many 4s can I get out of 7? I can get 1. 4 times 1 is 4. 7 minus 4 is 3. Bring down my 0. How many 4s can I get out of 30? And that is 7. Because 4 times 7 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. And so I don't have any more numbers to bring down. So that means that my final quotient is 17 with a remainder of 2. But they didn't ask us for that. They want to know how many 4-inch binders can he fit on a bookshelf. Well, I see that I have a remainder of 2 inches. That's not going to fit another 4-inch binder, so I can only fit 17 binders. All right, number 2. 2 2/3 divided by 1 1/5. So I see that these are both mixed numbers, so I'm going to change them into improper fractions. So I start at the bottom of my arrow and I say, looking at my denominator, 3 times 2 is 6, plus 2 is 8. So this becomes 8/3. And 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6, 6/5. So this is the math problem. 8/3 divided by 6/5. So I'm going to use the SOAR method. Keep the first number the same, change the operation to the opposite, and find the reciprocal of the second number. So our second number is 6/5. The reciprocal will be 5/6. Now it's time for me to multiply straight across. 8 times 5 is 40. 3 times 6 is 18. And I know that that's not its final form, as you guys hear me say. That's not the smallest that this fraction can be. So we're going to simplify or reduce it down. And I know that 40 and 18, they share a common factor of 2. So I'm going to divide my 40 by 2 and I get 20. Divide my 18 by 2 and I get 9. So 20/9 is our answer. But now let's make this into a mixed number. 20 divided by 9. I can pull 2 whole groups of 9 out of that 20 with 2 of the 9s left over. So 2 2/9 is our final answer. All right, number 3, what is the greatest common factor of 24 and 30? So I'm going to use the listing method and list out the factors of both of these numbers. So I know that 24 can be divided by 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 6, 8, 12, and 24. And let me check my pairs just to make sure. 1 times 24 gives me 24. 2 times 12 3 times 8, 4 times 6. So I'm all set. Now for the 30. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15, and of course 30. Let's check the pairs. 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. We're all set. So now it is time for me to go ahead and circle what they have in common. They both have 1s and 2s, 3s, 6s, no 8s, no 10s, 12s, 15s. So hey, so that's it. So I see here that my greatest common factor is equal to 6. Number 4, Mrs. Johnston's rabbit eats 3/4 of a pound of food each day. If Mrs. Johnston buys a 15-pound bag of food, how many days will she be able to feed her rabbit? All right, so I see that this is going to be division. So I am dividing up this 15-pound bag by the 3/4 the rabbit eats each day. Okay, so I know that when I have a whole number and I'm dividing fractions, I can put that whole number over 1 and make it look like a fraction while it still remains the same amount, the same value of 15. So using the SOAR method, I'm going to keep my first number the same. I'm going to change to the opposite operation and now find the reciprocal of my second number of 3/4. So I know that the reciprocal is 4 over 3. Now I'm going to multiply straight across. 15 times 4 is 60, and 1 times 3 is 3. And remember, guys, that this fraction bar is another way of putting a division symbol. So I can simplify this down. 60 divided by 3 equals 20. So I know that she can feed her rabbit for 20 days. Number 5, write the integer that represents a gain of 30 yards on a play in football. So gain here is a positive keyword, and it's 30 yards. So my integer is plus 30 or positive 30 or simply 30. Okay, let's look at number 6. It says find the difference. 42.4 minus 6.37. So this is subtracting decimals, so that means that I need to make sure I line up the decimal points and the numbers. And I'm going to put a placeholder 0 where I need to the far right. All right. 0 minus 7. I need to go next door, so to speak, and regroup those so I can do some borrowing, right? Now I have 10 minus 7 is 3. 3 minus 3 is 0. I'm lining up my decimal point. And now I have 2 minus 6, so I'm going to regroup. And now it's 12 minus 6, and that equals 6. And bring down my 3. So the difference, the answer is 36.03. Number 7, solve. All right, so now I have some more decimals, but this time I am adding. So I have to, again, line up the decimal points and these numbers. And this last one is tricky if you're not careful, because that 25 is a whole number. So that means I make sure I lined it up with the decimal points, and I'm going to put some placeholder zeros there. 4 plus 5 is 9, plus 1 more is 10. So I'm going to put my 0, carry my 1. 1 plus 7 is 8, plus 2 is 10, plus 3 is 13. So I'm going to put my 3 and carry my 1, making sure to line up my decimal points in my sum. So now I have 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 5 is 7, plus another 5 is 12. Put my 2, carry my 1. And now I have 1 plus 2, and that's 3. All right, so the answer to this, the sum, is $32.30. Number 8, solve 6 divided by 1/8. So again, it's a whole number. I'm going to put that over 1. So my math problem is now 6 over 1 divided by 1/8. Now I'm going to use the SOAR method, keep my first number the same, change my operation to the opposite, and now find the reciprocal of the second number. It's time for us to go ahead and multiply straight across. 6 times 8 is 48. 1 times 1 is 1. So my answer is simply 48. That's the quotient. Number 9, at Marvel's Movies grand opening, every 6th customer will receive a free drink and every 10th customer will receive a free movie rental. What number customer will be the first to receive both gifts? So I have a few keywords here that's going to help me decide whether this is an LCM problem or a GCF problem. So I see every 6th and every 10th in both. So what this means, every 6, so I'm repeating every 6 customers, then another 6 customers, then another 6, and every 10th customer, then another 10, then another 10, right? So because I am repeating, I am going to have to find the least common multiple where they both meet. All right, so I am finding the least common multiple of 6 and 10. So I'm going to use the listing method and list out my multiples. 6 times 1 is 6, times 2, 12, times 3, 18, times 4, 24, times 5, 30. And I'm going to stop there because I know that my 10, I can multiply 10 to get to 30. So now let's go ahead and list the multiples of 10. 10 times 1 is 10, times 2 is 20, times 3 is 30. And bingo, I have now found the first match, the least common multiple of both of these numbers. So the LCM of 6 and 10 is 30. But they didn't say, hey, what's the LCM of these two numbers? They want to know what number customer will be the first to receive both free gifts. So I now know that it will be the 30th customer. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Number 10. What is the least common multiple of 8 and 11? Let's write out our multiples of these two and see what the first number is that they have in common. All right, 8 times 1 is 8, times 2, 16, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8, times 9, times 10, times 11. Ooh, times 11. Okay, so now let's go ahead and list out our multiples for 11. Times 1 is 11, times 2, times 3, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7, times 8. And look at what we got there. All right, so our least common multiple of 8 and 11 is 88. Number 11, DJ Tay, woo woo, bought a 12-pound turkey for $14.45. How much did she pay for each pound of turkey? All right, so I know I spent $14.45. I have to divide it up by these pounds so that I can see how much each pound costs me. All right, so let's start setting up our problem. So we're going to do some decimal long division here. And I see that my divisor is already a whole number. So I don't have to move any decimal points anywhere. I just need to pop that decimal, line it up in my quotient. Okay, so now I know that I cannot get any 12s, whole numbers, any 12s out of that 1. But I can get some 12s out of 14, and I could get one of them. 12 times 1 is 12. 14 minus 12 is 2. Now I'm going to bring down my 4. 24 divided by 12 is 2. 12 times 2 is 24. 24 minus 24 is 0. And you may say, hey, yay, I'm done. Nope. We still need to bring down this 5. 5 divided by 12. Well, I'm not going to get anything whole out of that. So it is 0. 12 times 0 is 0. 5 minus 0 is simply 5. And we have a decimal, so we're going to keep going. And here's the thing. It asks how much did she pay. So we're talking about money. So because we're talking about money, we only need 2 decimal places. Well, in order to make sure whether or not we need to round this 20 cent up to 21 cent, I need to find one more decimal place, okay? So that means I am going to annex a 0 there and bring my 0 down. So now I'm asking myself 50 divided by 12, and I get 4 of those because 12 times 4 is 48. 50 minus 48 is 2. And I could keep going and going and going, but remember, we're looking for money. So I just needed this third decimal place to tell me whether or not I'm going to round up. And it's less than 5, so I don't need to round up. So how much did she pay for each pound of turkey? $1.20. All right. Let's look at number 12. A bus can hold 45 passengers. How many buses will be needed for 210 passengers? Okay, so this is a long division problem. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't know my 45s. Because I know that I'm going to be dividing 210 by 45. I don't know my 45s, guys. But that's okay, because we're going to go ahead and make a little mini toolbox over here on the side for our 45s. And we're going to use repeated addition in order to get our multiples. So I'm just going to put a times 1, times 2, times 3. let's see, times 4, times 5, times 6, times 7. That might be enough. So let's start. 45 times 1 is 45. Plus another 45 will be 90. Plus another 45 will be 135. Plus another 45 will be 180. Plus 45 will be 225. Plus 45 will be 270. And plus another 45 will be 315. All right, so I just went a little bit past just in case. All right, so we have our toolbox there. So now I'm asking, how many 45s can I get out of this 210 without going over? Well, look at my toolbox. I can get 4 without going over, because 45 times 4 is 180. And 210 minus 180 leaves me with 30. And so this would mean that I have no more numbers to bring down. So this will mean that this is my remainder. So I could fill 4 whole buses of children, but I still have 30 kids left over. Well, they have to get on a bus too. So though it's not enough to fill another bus, I'm going to need one more bus to put these kids on. So I'm going to need 5 buses for 210 passengers. Number 13, Layla bought 2 shirts at $15.25 each. And I'm going to underline that, squiggly underline that, each. And 3 pairs of pants at $20.50 each. How much money did she spend in all? Now, I squiggly underlined those eaches because I have to keep in mind that if I'm buying 2 shirts at 15.25, that means 15.25 and another 15.25. So not 2 shirts for a total of $15.25. So I'm going to multiply this, $15.25 times 2. 2 times 5 is 10. Pop my 1 up there. 2 times 2 is 4, plus that 1 gives me 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Pop my 1 up here. 2 times 1 is 2, plus that 1 is 3. And you may have noticed, because we are multiplying decimals, I only need to line up the numbers to the right. I do not need to line up the decimal places. So now that I've done my math, my multiplication using a standard algorithm, I am going to count how many decimal places were in my original numbers, so I know where to put my decimal place, my decimal point in my product. So I see after my decimal point I have 1, 2 here. So I'm going to move my decimal 1, 2 places. So I know that the 2 shirts cost $30.50. Now let's look at these 3 pairs of pants. $20.50 times 3. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 5 is 15. Pop my 1 up here. 3 times 0 is 0, plus that 1 gives me 1. 3 times 2 is 6. So I've done my math. Let's see about the decimal places, and I have 2 in $20.50. So I'm going to move 1, 2, and pop my decimal point in my product. So the pants, 3 pairs of pants, cost $61.50. Well, I need to see how much did she spend in all. So this means I'm adding the price of the pants with the price of the shirts. And remember, now that we're adding decimals, I need to go ahead and make sure my decimal points are lined up with my numbers as well. All right, I added those, and make sure in my sum that I pop that decimal point right down to line up with the rest of them. So the money that Layla spent is in all is $92 spent. Okay, so you can write it as just 92 with the dollar symbol or with your 2 decimal places for the cents. Number 14, solve, 726 divided by 6. Long division problem here. All right, so how many 6s can I get out of 7? I can get 1. 1 times 6 is 6. 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down my 2. 12 divided by 6 is 2. 6 times 2 is 12. 12 minus 12 is 0. But I'm not done yet. I need to bring down my next number, which is a 6. 6 divided by 6 is 1. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 minus 6 is 0. And now that I have no more numbers to bring down and I got to 0, I am done. So 726 divided by 6 is 121. And last but not least, number 15. Number 15. Briefly write a situation that can be described using a positive integer. Okay, so let's come up with a fun situation. Okay, so I'm going to choose Mrs. Clark, the social studies teacher, one of the social studies teachers here. And I named her for her math DJ name. She is Clapback Clark. So let's go ahead and put her in my little situation here. And you can use whatever situation you want as long as it's representing a positive integer situation. All right, so here's my brief situation. Clapback Clark earned $12 for appearing in DJ Tay's music video. All right, so that earned $12 is where our positive integer is represented. You guys are going to do wonderfully on this test. I believe in you.